This weekend, I'm going to be taking part in the 2025 Dirty Reiver. The Dirty Reiver is a 200-kilometre gravel event in the north of England in Kielder Forest, and it's going to be the longest ride I've ever done, along with the first ever true gravel event I've done. It's mostly on fire roads, it's not the most technical, however, due to its length, I've got to be really on it with my preparation and my equipment. So first up, we're going to take a look at the bike I'm going to be using, and then we're going to have a look at what I'm taking in my bag and my nutrition strategy for the day. This right here is my gravel bike. It's an On-One Free Ranger and I've had it for a good few years now, and it's definitely starting to show its age. I'm going to show you all the little mods and tweaks I'm going to make to my gravel bike to get it race ready for the weekend. First things first, I've already swapped out the 38 tooth that I had on here before for racing cross for a 44 tooth chainring. Now this is a dirt cheap AliExpress one, and from the couple of rides I've been on it so far, it has held up pretty well. And now all the modifications are done, this is my bike I'll be using on the day. So we've got the Panaracer X1 tyres on my Zip 303 Firecrest. I'm running GX axis with a 10 through 50 cassette and my GX mech. I've got a 44 tooth chainring on the front on my Quark cranks with my D0 power meter. Still not sure about the numbers from that. Up front I've got Tram Force levers which pair really nicely with the GX mech. Since I spoke to you before, I've swapped out to my SLR Boost Superflow saddle, which is in the narrow variant. Thrown on a couple of bottle cages because I will be running normal bottles. And I have been using these cactus rotors, which I have been getting on quite well with, and they seem to be stopping me really well. I'm running Zip SL70 ergo bars attached to my Uno stem. I haven't chopped the steerer now. That is a bit of an eyesore, but I'm still not set on this always being the stack height I'm going to run on this bike, so I do want to keep it with a bit of flexibility. For pedals, I've got my XDR pedals. I've had these for quite a while now, absolute bomb proof, and despite it not mattering, it wouldn't be one of my videos without weighing the bike. So let's get it on the scales. I'm ready to ride. We're clocking in at 8.5 kilos. I should add there isn't actually an access battery in that cage, so add another couple of grams for that. Right, let's go inside and have a look at my clothing and nutrition. There is a really extensive mandatory kit list for this event, so I'm making sure by laying it all out that I've hit every single point on the kit list. Let's start first with my clothing. Pretty standard, jersey, shorts, base layer. That's the point of the mandatory kit list, a spare base layer. Got some gloves. It's probably going to be quite cold when we're setting off, so I'm going to set off in gloves. Got arm and leg warmers with me. I probably will be just running the arm warmers. I can't see myself setting off in leg warmers, but I'm bringing them, so I've got an option. Got my gravel shoes, which I've had to replace one of the BOA dials on, but actually they were great, and they sent me a replacement for free when I snapped one of the wires doing the 3 peaks last year. Got my laser Genesis helmet with aero shell, and then for socks, this will be controversial, but I'm actually going to bring my aero socks along with my aero shell helmet. Now, what you might be thinking is, I can't believe you're running an aero helmet and aero socks for a gravel sportif. That's like turning up to a park running Kipchoge shoes. But this is going to be the longest bike ride I've ever done, so any little efficiency gain I can get, I'll be taking. Right, next up is all my repair kit. First up, how I'm going to inflate my tyres if I got a flat. So I'm undecided at this point. I have some CO2 canisters and inflator, and I also have my Cyc Plus tyre inflator. I'm not sure which one to bring yet. Obviously, pros and cons of both, but I'll make that decision probably tonight. I've also got a traditional old school pump, which is on the mandatory kit list. So despite having the other inflators, I do need to bring. I've got TPU tubes and TPU specific patches, nice and compact and lightweight. I'm going to bring 2 of them just in case I double flat. Hopefully I won't be needing them because I've got my tubeless plug kit and some spare little tubeless plug tools. So hopefully if I do get a puncture, I'll be able to repair it with that and not have one catastrophic enough to throw a tube in. Got some tyre levers, got a multi-tool, got a spare access battery along with the main one I'm going to be running just in case. I mean, I don't envisage it running out, but it always just makes me more confident bringing a spare. I've got lights, which while again, I don't expect to be still riding in the dark, they are on the mandatory kit list just in case I did have a run of mechanicals. You know, it is 200 kilometers at the end of the day. If it starts going wrong, it could take a very long time. So, you know, you're deep in the woods, important to have lights. I've got my emergency survival bag with whistle attached, again on the mandatory kit list. And again, because the event is quite remote, you know, if you did manage to like break your collarbone or something and have to wait for emergency services, it's really important to have one of these. Spare brake pads. I'm probably going to only take one set of these, but I'm not taking them out of the package yet. Just in case I had some incident and blew the pads on my bike. Thought it's worth taking one of them, tiny and don't weigh very much. I've got my trusty Edge 530, which I'll have the route loaded on so I can see upcoming climbs and be terrified about just how far I've got left to ride. I've got a buff, which is also on the mandatory kit list. Can't see myself wearing it, but you need to have a buff or a hat, so bring in a buff because it's smaller. Waterproof jacket, also going in my bag, also on the mandatory kit list. I could see myself setting off in this if it's really cold at the start. To track and record my ride then, I'll be running my Garmin HRM Pro chest strap, obviously logging it on my Garmin, and I've got a Quark D0 on my bike ready to go. All of this kit then is going in my running bag. Now, I've chose this over my old mountain bike Camelback because I've got loads of pockets on the front. I'm going to fill these pockets with all my gels and sugar flasks, and then I can obviously put my clothing and tools in the bag on the back, and it just is nice and lightweight and compact, and I find it really comfortable to ride in. Being such a long event, it's really important to make sure I have enough carbs with me. So first up, I'm going to be running 2 soft flasks with sugar syrup in. I'm going to load each one with 300 grams of sugar, so that's 600 grams of carbs in total, and hopefully that'll be a real good start towards hitting my carb targets. I'm going to have 2 normal water bottles on the bike, and now in them I am just going to run some isotonic because I don't want to stop and faff with putting energy mix in them when I'm stopping to refill them at aid stations. So yeah, just going to run water with a hydro tablet at the start in my bottles, and I'll just end up refilling that with just plain water. And then as it's such a long event, I don't think my stomach's going to be happy with just liquid fuel. So I am fortunate enough that Velo Forte have sent me a bunch of their bars and gels to try. So I've got a bunch of their energy bars, which each have just over 30 grams of carbs in. So between the 5 of them, that's 150 grams of carbs. And then I've got these soft chews, which I'm assuming are just going to be a bit like sweets. And each pack of these contains just over 40 grams of carbs. Then I've also got a few gels with me, just in case I need that extra kick at the end. All in, I think I'm bringing about 1 kilo of carbs, which, you know, I'm expecting this event to take me just under 8 hours. I want to be hitting at least 100 grams per hour, but I also don't know, it might take me a bit longer than that if I'm not having the best day. So I'm just making sure I'm prepared for every eventuality. What I've learnt about my body doing endurance events is I can never have too many carbs almost, especially when it's such a long race. If I hit my carb targets early, I'm going to be absolutely flying towards the end. If I don't, I bonk terribly. So yeah, just making sure I am really proactive with the carbs is going to be critical to having a good event. And that was all the gear that I'll be taking to the Dirty Reiver this year. I'm now getting the train up north to Carlisle, where I'll be going to be staying before going over to the event tomorrow morning. One final word before I leave you. Over 90% of the viewers to this channel are not subscribed currently. So please do me a big favour, get yourself subscribed down below and consider hitting that like button or leaving a comment. All of it really does help the YouTube algorithm. So get yourself subscribed and I'll see you all in the next one.